West Ham's efforts at trying to get in the transfer market have been completely ramped up, and they need to be. Listen, we've suffered some really bad injuries over the last couple of weeks. Mohamed Kudus being one, of course, who have now jetted off to AFCON. Lucas Paqueta, who went off injured, and Jarrod Bowen, who also went off injured against Bristol City. And then you also got Mavropanos as well, who I believe at the time of recording this is back for the Bristol City game, at least on the bench. So, you know, that's a little bit of a positive. So, but we're not really focusing on him. We're going to be focusing on the big three, you know, the players who have essentially dragged us through this season at times. The class of Jarrod Bowen, the absolute flair of Mohamed Kudus, who in my eyes has probably been the signing of the summer. And of course, just the majestic nature of Lucas Paqueta, the way he pulls the strings in games, has been brilliant for us. And it's really been the reason we've won some of our games, to be fair. Their goals and what they can bring tend to be the defining factor in our games. But we have got a little bit of positive news for you when it comes to these injuries. Now, as of recording this, it is the 16th of the 1st. So, of course, if there are any injuries in the current Bristol City game that is going on or is about to take place, then, of course, some of this is going to be a little bit null and void. But in terms of the players, Lucas Paqueta and Jarrod Bowen, as it stands, there is an outside chance that Jarrod Bowen could make the Sheffield United game, which is on the 21st. So just a couple of days. Give you an exact quote from director employee. West Ham are concerned over the injuries to Lucas Paqueta and Jarrod Bowen. Both have yet to be given an official timeline on the recovery, and both will be having further scans to determine the injury status, as we exclusively revealed yesterday. The fear is that Paqueta could be out for between 1 to 2 months and Bowen around a month. There is a hope that Mavropanos will return to face Bristol City, which of course he did. The transfer team have been told to step up the drive to get players in quickly, and it is interesting to note that club chairman David Sullivan was at the under-21s game yesterday, presumably looking to see if he felt any of them could make the step up with his own eyes. So, you know, that was not the most positive, of course, of updates. But we do have a little bit of a more update for you. I've been chatting to Mark, and I wouldn't say he's expected, but of course X has put this out on Twitter as well, is that the ankle injury seems to be less serious than first feared, and there is an outside chance that he could make the Sheffield United game. Now, if he doesn't make the Sheffield United game, he's got 10 more days to make the Bournemouth game. So, of course, we've got this little winter break going on. So, as I say, currently it's the 16th of January. The Sheffield United game is on the 21st of January. Our next game after that is against Bournemouth, Thursday, the 1st of February. So, between now and January and February, so the 1st of February, we've got a couple of weeks to sort ourselves out and to hopefully get him fit. When I say a couple of weeks, we've got pretty much 2 weeks and 2 days. So we've got a little bit of an outside chance that even Lucas Paqueta could make the Bournemouth game, but we are expecting that he will at least make the Manchester United game, which is 3 days after, on the 4th of February. So realistically, hopefully, we're only going to be losing Paqueta for the Sheffield United game, and we're only going to be losing Jarrod Bowen for the Bristol City game, which is currently taking place. So that is a massive, massive injury boost. Now, of course, with injuries, things can change, and even when players are back, they don't tend to get played because, obviously, I mean, you look at what happened to Paqueta in the first place. He got injured against Arsenal. We played him again. I think it was against Bristol as well. And it seems to be a reoccurring injury, which has now become worse than the original injury that he sustained against Arsenal, and has then put him out for a longer period of time. So David Moyes will not be in a rush to get Lucas Paqueta back, especially against Bournemouth. Obviously, no disrespect to Bournemouth, but you'd like to think that that is an opposition that we'll have a decent chance of beating, as opposed to someone like Manchester United, who are, you know, going a little bit more in the up at the moment. So with the Manchester United game taking place on the 4th of February, I expect that is probably when Lucas Paqueta will come back. You know, we need him back. You got United on the 4th, Arsenal on the 11th, and then you've got Forest and Brentford, which, again, you know, they're sort of mid-table sides that could do a little bit of damage to you. But you know, the big ones are going to be the Manchester United and the Arsenal games. That's when we really need them to be back by. But supposedly Bowen could literally be back as soon as this weekend, the Sheffield United game. Personally, I think it's probably best not to. I mean, I'd like to think we've got enough quality not to need Jarrod Bowen and Lucas Paqueta to beat Sheffield United with how bad they've been this season. You know, we've got players who can come in like Maxwell Cornet, Pablo Fornal, Said Benrahma. You know, they're players that I think could potentially step up in their absence. You know, you've also got Ward-Prowse, Souček and Alvarez who are doing well in the midfield. Of course, we are missing Kudus, who, to be fair, sustained an injury before he left for AFCON. He was left out the first AFCON fixture, I believe. And then he is back in training now. So he's going to be playing a couple of games in AFCON. And we don't know when we're going to get him back because obviously we don't know how far they're going to go in the actual competition, Ghana. But, you know, as it stands, he's back in training at least, so that's a positive. But, you know, Lucas Paqueta and Jarrod Bowen, I wouldn't want to rush back before the Sheffield United game. At best, I would substitute them because, you know, we can either rush them back in 5 days. Well, Paqueta won't make that, no way, but we can rush Bowen back in 5 days on the 21st, or we can give him, you know, maybe 10 minutes in the Sheffield United game or no minutes, and then he's got 15 days to recover, 2 weeks for the Bournemouth game, which is a game that he needs to be sharp for, especially if we're pretty certain we're going to lose Paqueta as well. So even though Jarrod Bowen is potentially going to come back against Sheffield United this weekend, I highly doubt Moyes is going to risk him and is going to play him, considering that having just done that to Lucas Paqueta, we've just obviously lost him for a sustained period of time, which could even be longer. Also, we have no update on Mikel Antonio because his injury just seems to progressively just stay the same. We're not sure exactly when he's going to be back. We hope he's going to be back soon. He's put out some positive social media posts and stuff, but as far as we're concerned with Antonio, he's still a long way from being able to get back on the pitch. But Lucas Paqueta, potentially Bournemouth. If not, we're expecting Man United. Bowen, potentially Sheffield United. And if not, 1,000,000% potentially. Well, I don't want to say 1,000,000% because you never want to say 1,000,000%, but more than likely, he'll be available at least for the Bournemouth game. So definitely a lot better than first feared. My only worry now is, you know, when do we play them? Do we play them straight away and risk aggravating their injury more? Or do we bite the bullet and say, well, Bournemouth and Sheffield United are lower teams. We don't want to risk them for too much. So why don't we just, you know, give them the rest period that they need? And then when it gets to Manchester United, hopefully they'll be fully fit. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What should we be doing? Of course, as I say, all of these injuries are as of up to date before the Bristol City game. So if anything happens in the Bristol City game and Fabianski breaks his nose or Thomas Souček, you know, throws up or something, I do not know about it, and I would not be able to give you an update on it. Or it's not that I'm neglecting it in the video. It's just simply that the video is taking place before that game. So depending on what happens in that game, that is all the injury news that we have for you. But what do you think Moyes should do? Should he rush back or, you know, play Bowen if he's available against Sheffield United? Or do you think we'll have enough to beat them and it's best to rest him and not risk it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.